let's talk about Flink and metered billing, a reprocessing story. My name is Pedro, and I work for Gorgias. So I had this slide here just about questions, but I think that we are a small group, so we can just skip that and raise the hands. If you have a question while I'm speaking, just raise your hand and let's talk. So I'm talking a little bit about what Gorgias is, what is the focus of this project, how the MVP was implemented, the evolution, the next iteration, ordering as an issue, and I'm going to talk about watermark alignment from Flink as well. So what's Gorgias here? So it's not the philosopher. I don't work for Gorgias the philosopher. I'm sorry. So Gorgias is the first rated help desk for e-commerce and merchants. So it's a customer experience company. We have multiple e-commerce integrations. We are the biggest one on Shopify. So we have thousands of clients. We have multiple products as well. So we have like a help desk, we have chat, we have voice calls, we have SMS, and all of those systems, they just like float around the help desk, which is our central system. So the key takeaway here is that Gorgias holds every conversation in one place. So you open Gorgias and you see like Facebook messages from your clients, you see like emails, you see calls, you see everything in a single place. So what is the focus of this project? Just getting like a one coach from George Lucas. Always remember your focus. It determines your reality. So you need to know what you're solving, to know like the whys and hows that, I don't know, I don't recall who said that before, but we had something similar to this, right? So always be focused on something to be able to resolve something like properly, right? And what is the focus of this project? What was the focus of this project? So a beautiful way of saying that is that we wanted to build 100% accurate and scalable metered billing for Gorgias. Because, you know, charging the customers it is an important task, but we need to be like really careful with that inaccuracy, because we would rather charge less than charge more. So this is like the tricky part of that project. So we want to enable new Gorgias products to opt in for billing. So in this matter, we want billing system to be something like as a platform. So just imagine you're a new team inside Gorgias and you create a product. How do we charge for that product, right? Like big companies have problems with that, like with bringing new products to get billed like in the regular cycle. So this is also one of the focus. So bringing billing as platform. So we want as well to reduce load from main systems. So as I said, like help desk is the main important like system at Gorgias. So if we start like adding stuff on the pile of like legacy code, we know that in certain time we're gonna just stop, because yeah, the risk is high. Like we don't want to deploy close to, for example, Black Friday, because we are a customer experience company. So we want to have like a safeguard around like the biggest system and be able to reduce the load there. And we also want to bring like a time traveling towards like the billing. I want to look back and see like how this is evolution. But just because of dark, I'm not going to use the term like time traveling. And let's just change that to innovation. Like I want to be able to innovate like towards like the different changes, right? So innovation here means like I want to grow over time. So I want to start with a small product and then bring this to the whole company, right? So I want to play with like new pricing models. What if I start charging like this one twice? What if like if someone uses this product like twice in a day, I only charge once? Like I want to play with this data as a company and be able to evolve on that. So I want new ways of collapsing events. Like I'll use like 3 times, but then I charge once, like those kind of things, right? So innovation here becomes reprocessing. I want to be able to reprocess data. And this is why we're talking about reprocessing history here. So metered billing. Does everyone like here know what metered billing is? Like, can I have hands? Not everyone. So let's go a little bit. What is metered billing here, right? So let's just talk about the Dutch way of like a water and energy system. So you have like a company, when you create a contract, the company will talk with you and say like, based on the amount of people that you have in your house, you're going to probably spend like this amount monthly, right? So we're going to charge you that. And if you go over, we charge you later. So this is a really good example on metered billing. So they're saying like, this is the threshold, and above this threshold, we are going to charge you more than we agreed before because you're going over the usage, right? Yes, it's good because we can, as a company, we can enable like a new customers to measure what's going to be like their price in the end of the month. Probably everyone in this house had problems with AWS with putting your card and forgetting like one instance there, and then like crying a little bit, right? So metered billing could solve this kind of issues there. And the biggest one is predictability, right? Like, so let's imagine that I'm a merchant that has like that I use Gorgias, and then I know that monthly I'm using 100 voice calls for my stuff. So it's really fair to pay like that 100 upfront because I know that will be it, right? Like this is the level of predictability that I'm bringing to the clients. So the TLDR of that is just like a threshold pay as you go, right? So let's just talk about the Flipperum example here. And we have like one ticket is €2, but if you buy like 5 tickets, you pay €8. So you're getting like a €2 discount here. So on the 6th on, you pay like a $195. I'm just being a company and wanting you to pay a little bit more and giving you a little bit of discount there because you bought like up front with me, right? So you ask the tickets, like when you go to play, based on your usage, the price will be charged. It's just like a counting +1 and making like a math later on, right? It's easy, right? Let's get there. So Flink to the rescue here. Like with all of those ideas, we thought about like a data streaming and how to enable that. And we just like choose Flink because, you know, we like the new stuff. I'm just joking, like Flink brings a lot of good stuff. So the MVP, what did we want to solve with the MVP? So for the voice and SMS products at Gorgias, because they were like a system that was running beta for a while, and then we need to start charging stuff, right? So let's start with them. Like the billing model was easy. If you send an SMS, that's it, right? Like we can charge you. If you call someone, we can charge you. So the voice and SMS products are products that live together with help desk. So we have like within the help desk cluster, we have the voice and SMS. So it's easy. Like Gorgias has 9 help desk clusters among like different regions. So for us, it was easy because it was just like just one new deployment on that cluster that already existed, right? So it's cluster-based data. So when it happens, we increase the meter, right? Like simple. One good thing is that like we had already enriched events, because when I'm sending the SMS, I know that I want to charge the SMS that I'm sending in this month because it happens right now, right? So I don't need to make any calculation about like when to charge that. So this was the MVP that we had, right? So we had our application producing events about like a SMS being sent or voice calls being called. And then we had like a division sending those events to Kafka. And then we had like a Flink SQL counting those events and saying like the account X on the cycle Y sent like a 23 SMS, right? So then the outcome of this would go to another Kafka topic, and then we're going to have like a Flink reading from that Kafka topic and then sending to our payment provider. You may be asking yourself, like, why don't you put the requester together with this deployment, right? Like they kind of live together, they are billing related, but billing is not, Flink is not really known by its observability on state, right? Like it's a black box, unfortunately. And then we want to have like analytics on top of that. And because of that, we are like collapsing the most singular change that we can do on that event to be able to put analytics on top of that and measure the evolution of that system in the long run. So that's the reason and the only reason why we are splitting this here. And this is the idea, like our event had like the account that were doing that as a key and the event UID, right? And then the event itself, we had like the same information from the key, the billable type, the event type, the aggregate route, how to collapse the events, right? The subscription cycle that I just said, like bill this customer in this month, right? Like, so we need to be able to know that. And when the event happened, right? Like those are the informations that we have on the events. So the next evolution, because it started to work well for voice and SMS, and then we need to increase that for the other products, right? So in the story of mankind, those who learned to collaborate and improve most effectively prevailed. So it's a guy, I don't know if you know about him, it's called like a Charles Darwin, like he has like a really good books. So just check there. Yeah. So on the second iteration, we had like some spicer requirements, because right now it's not only about counting the numbers. It's not like only moving forward, because everything evolves, right? So we first need to attend products outside of the help desk land. So this means that billing will have to be able to resolve products outside of that cluster. So we get in a multi-cluster problem that if you did resolve this problem, you know that this is not like 100% easy. So how to map events to the right cluster, right? So we had to do a small reverse engineer on the current pricing, because those products, they were charged like by Gorgias, but not by it was not like a metered billing, right? So I had like the customer A paying X. So the question was like, if we start charging stuff in this new model, how much will this cost to this customer, right? Like, are we gonna have like the customer happy with that? So we need to play with the data to get to the number like really, really close to what we have right now. So you can imagine that a lot of reprocessing went on that, like a reverse engineering. So in this case, like not all events are meant to be billable. Just imagine that, talking about AI, for example, you send a message and then you have like an AI agent replying to you and give you a response. And then you say like, this was not helpful, right? So is it fair to charge like your customer for that? Not really, right? So then this part here is like a really tricky one to resolve. We're going to talk about that. And this brings the idea of control events. So one control event that I just said, for example, is the customer saying like, was this interaction helpful or not? Like if it's not, we don't charge it because no value brought to the conversation. And because of this, we have to have like a consolidation window, because we need to have like some predictability as well. Just imagine me interacting with an AI and then 10 days later come like, I don't like this answer. This was already charged, right? Like we need to put like corners around our stuff. Otherwise, like the state will grow forever. So we got to something like this. We created right now a centralized billing cluster. So we had like a specific cluster for billing. And then we had like all Gorgias products like a help desk, convert, automate, and AI, exporting data to a Kafka there. And then we had like this consolidation piece over there. So what does consolidation does? Consolidation will open like a one session window for each event that happens and wait like a control events to understand if that event should be billable or not in the next like window session that we just created. And after being consolidated or not, we're going to send this to a new Kafka topic with like the already consolidated events. Because if you remember, if we just like go one step back to what we had before, we just had like the SQL and this part, right? But right now we're adding like a consolidation here in the middle. But if we think about like, let me just say that we have a window of 5 days, right? And then I did something right now, but then my cycle closed. I'll have to charge this on the next cycle, right? So I cannot enrich my data already up front. I need to enrich that after the consolidation step. So this brings like a late enrichment stage. So after getting consolidated, we need to enrich that data. So then we get the timestamp, for example, and say like, for this customer and this timestamp, what's the billable cycle? And then I enrich this data, and then data just keeps flowing until it gets to our payment provider. Oh, beautiful, right? We resolved the problem. Let's go home and never talk about that. So just one exemplification of like how things works. I got an event, the blue one. After 72 hours of my consolidation, it gets consolidated. I can charge that event, right? But just imagine that I interact with the AI, and then I get a control event saying like, hey, this interaction was not helpful. So then I cancel that, that event. So it's not billable anymore. And we have another like a kind, which is, let's say, track order. If you're a customer tracking the order and you're really willing your order to get there, you're gonna probably do that like a couple of times in a day, right? Like, and then we have a window of 72 hours that says you can track anything in the 3 days, and we're gonna charge you only once. So everything gets collapsed to the first event. So you did like a 300 track orders, we're gonna charge you once because you're just anxious, I hope. And then there's like also like if you have even like with the collapsed events, let's say I'm collapsing them, and then one control event saying like I don't want to charge that. We're gonna cancel all the collapsed events because all of them are belonging to the same group. So this is what consolidation does TLDR. Looks easy like that. So let's talk about the pitfalls of this solution, right? So Houston, we have a problem here. Let's talk about this. So complex situations, new control events. When you bring like something new and then you pitch that to product will say like, I can add any control event then, and then you have to say like, we don't do that here. Let's talk about this. Late enrichment, like I talked about that, like I showing the difference on the two diagrams before. So it was a complex situation because we had to bring that data from other clusters. We had to create that cluster, like that data there, because we could not go from one cluster to another one saying like, hey, what's the billing cycle for this one? If the other cluster is down, billing is down. We don't want to have that. And one huge pitfall we had here was using the system time instead of event time in billing. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know about the pain, right? So the issue here was that sometimes we were seeing problems that we were not understanding why, and the system time was resolving that. So let's go on this route, right? And then shoot on your shirt. You may ask yourself, like, why did you do that? Like, why though? Like, why are you using system time if you have the event time? Like, why are you doing that with yourself? So let's talk about the final boss, right? Like, why did we do that? So the geometry of the place was wrong. One could be sure that the sea and the ground were horizontal. So this is not like we are looking something weird there, right? Like there's something fishy in the air that you know is happening, but you don't know why. So let's talk about that. So there are two hard problems in distributed systems: exactly once and order. So if you can see, like a 2 comes first, right? So order is broken, and exactly 1 is as well. So as you may guess, ordering is the problem that we're talking about here. So a little bit bigger graph than we had before. So let's imagine that we're having the event 1 that got on partition 0 and on timestamp 0, right? And then I got the event 2 that arrived on partition 2 on the timestamp 1. And then the event 3, partition 1, timestamp 2, right? So we consolidate the first one because all the other ones were collapsed. But then let's just imagine that this happened, you consolidated something, and for some reason your Flink just crashed before checkpoint, right? And then Flink will spin up again, and the partition 1, 2, and 3 was like attached to one task manager, but not the order of the partitions, right? And then Flink, unfortunately, it starts to read from partition 2 before. And then the same things will happen, and then in the end we're gonna have like ID2 consolidated, like this is not what we were expecting, right? And if it restarts again before the checkpoint, and it starts reading from 3. So right now we have like 3 consolidated events with different IDs that we cannot correlate them. Like we screwed up, right? Ordering is a problem. And then you may be asking yourself, like, hey Pedro, you were using Kafka, right? And Kafka has ordering, like what you're talking about. So let's just go through this one here before. So the same happened for the cancellation, right? So ID1, partition 0, timestamp 0. And then the cancellation event, the control event arrived, and we canceled. But then Flink broke here again and restarted. And then Flink started from partition 2 before. And you see a control event canceling something that I don't know about. Like, let me just drop this event. I don't know what you're talking about, right? And then in the end, you get ID1 consolidated, which is not what we want. So again, you may be wondering, doesn't Kafka resolve like ordering for you? So Kafka does resolve ordering in a partition fashion. So you can have like ordering in a single partition. And this was another pitfall that we had. Our key had the event ID, which is something like a random here, right? So we could have like one account having events among different partitions, and then we could not have ordering there. And then like, why didn't you just like rekeyed? Yeah, it took a while to realize that this happened. And this is a quote of myself. Kafka is known like about partitioning and ordering, right? But it's not known by its easy on reordering. If you have a topic there like with infinite retention and you want to reorder that, good luck. It's not an easy task. So yeah. So because of that, we had to create like a more complex windows. We started to see like one control event arrived, we don't know which event it's talking about. Let's just hold it for a while, right? Like let me just hold this event for a little bit to see if I'm gonna receive one event that cancels that, right? So I had to delay a little bit the order of the processing because I just created like a second window where everything was being ordered. Like we had to start checking time on all events because the ordering was not guaranteed anymore. So then we are just removing one of the key values that we have with streaming, right? We know that things are coming in the order that they happen. So the question is, should we reorder topics among 13 plus clusters with other clients connected to those clusters? Like, good luck pitching that to product teams, saying like they need to stop what they're doing and then create new consumers. Like, good luck. If you are like able to do that, let's talk. So billing did not like this was not like the last pitfall on billing. Like we got a second savior here. So a problem pushed away is a good problem, right? Like if I can put someone else to resolve my problem, that's good, right? So Flink on Flink 118 brought one thing called watermark alignment. Doesn't like everybody here know about like a watermark? Yeah. So watermark is just like let's say a meter saying like you consumed events until this timestamp, something like that, right? And with this watermark alignment, I can configure Flink to say, hey, consume everything like on the same partitions and be sure to be on the same timeline as you go, as you move forward. So I'm creating a way of ordering stuff here with a feature from Flink. Of course, I'm delaying like a couple of seconds the processing because I just need to be sure that things are moving like on the same pace, right? But like the problem is solved. After the watermark alignment, we decreased a lot the complexity on the session windows. We removed the time constraint checks, and right now, when a cancel event arrives, we know it's good, right? So yeah, so it does resolve the ordering problem for me. It allows less complex logic with the windowings. Like, so it's just like one step back on the complexity and I'm able to move forward. And it enabled us to move away from system timers to event timers again. So we did manage to get back there. And the event timer like brings the reprocessing in a really more deterministic way, because right now the triggers happens when the watermark like it moves. So I'm sure that things are moving like along in the way that I want. So just like some bonus things before we close. When I submitted the talk, we had like a 500 million billing events, and this was like 2 months ago. And right now, just like before the talk I checked, and we have like 934 million events. This is because we enabled like an AI agent for the billing, and a lot of folks are using the AI agent on Gorgias. So we are having like 2 million events, 3 million events daily on the billing. So this means usually like 4K session windows like happening simultaneously. We have like 2 new products, and yeah. If I want to reprocess the data today, it takes like 2 days to consume like everything, and the 2 days is mainly because of like the 72 hours. If I start right now, it will take like 2 days to be like up to date with today. That's all. Do you have any questions from me? And before I open to the questions, this is just like a QR code where you can give like a feedback to this talk. Please do. This talk will be presented on Flink Forward as well.